Good day, folks. My name is Marlon John, and I'm here to go over with you the sales agreement, how we fill out a sales agreement. Sales agreements are presented when we're ready to present an offer. So first thing at the top, we'll fill in the date 12/18/2020. Then we'll fill in our buyer's name, David Jones. Next, we'll fill in the address for which we're presenting the offer for. 123 Dream Avenue, Star City, New York. Now, what's the purchase price where we're presenting or putting an offer in for? Let's say we're putting an offer in for $450. Good faith deposit. That's only if at the time that we're presenting the offer, the buyer would be placing a deposit, a good faith deposit. If they elect not to, you leave this blank. If they elect to present money or a good faith deposit at the time of presenting the offer, then you would fill out the amount right here. For the purposes of this illustration, we'll put 0. Down payment payable on formal contract. Let's say they're putting down 10%, which is $45,000. They will put half of that, $22,500 at down payment at signing of contract, subject to existing mortgage. If they're putting down $45,000, then they will be borrowing $405,000. Closing cost. This is asking for cash on closing. The balance of the down payment, $45,000, which is 10% of the $450, minus $22,500, which is half of $45,000. So the buyer would have to come to the closing table with the rest, cash at closing, which is the other $22,500. And that all totals the $450,000. So we have our terms and conditions filled out. Financing. Well, this section here, A, this sale is subject to and conditioned upon the buyer obtaining a variable or fixed mortgage in the amount of $405,000. With interest at prevailing rate amortized over a period of no less than, well, you the agent would have to know what type of mortgage your buyer will be taking, and doing so you're speaking with the lender. But for the purposes of this illustration, we'll go with a 30-year mortgage. Buyer understand that he or she, they, are obligated to make good faith efforts to obtain such financing. Now there's a section B. This sale is subject to existing variable fixed mortgage held by, which bears an interest such interest rate per annum. The present monthly payment is, which excludes taxes and insurance. The final payment is due. This is for someone who is selling something, has something to sell, or is contingent. This is contingent upon the sale of another house or a mortgage. So this is only filled out subject to if your buyer does not own a house, not looking to sell a house, doesn't have anything to sell, they're just purchasing a property, you do not fill out Section B. The mortgage commitment is to be obtained within blank days from the date hereof or the date of formal contract, whichever is later. A formal contract to be signed by parties on or about. Now, if there's any exclusions, which is typically listed on the listing or discussed between the agents prior to, they will be listed right here. Any exclusions from the property, such as, could be anything, such as a fan, what have you, that will be listed right here. Closing. So the balance of the purchase price will be delivered by the buyer to the seller at the date of closing, which will take place on or about. So let's put, for the purposes of this, January 31st, 2020. So what's the location? Location could be seller's attorney office, could be buyer's attorney's office, could be bank's attorney's office, could be at the bank, could be any location, could be to be determined. Being that many instances is early on, to be determined. Next, you will fill out information. So the buyer would have the opportunity to sign here. David Jones. Now the Realty and the agent Marlon John. Now the attorney information is important. Let's say and Andrew Dawson. His address 456 L Street. New York. And you fill out the information. Now, if you're representing the buyer or you're working with the buyer as a customer, then you would fill out this information, and the buyer would then, the seller at that point would have the opportunity to fill out their information once they've received the offer. But this is basically how you would fill out a sales agreement.